Yep, there she goes. So that's what it looks like right now, before. I think I'm gonna keep that main leaf there. So my bastard pack is gonna look like that, plus the leaf, plus the main leaf. So before I take the springs apart, or before I do anything crazy, drastic, I'm gonna measure where I'm at right now. So the ground is a little bit uneven and stuff right now. So I think I'm gonna go by the wheel gap. I could always take another measurement off the ground, but I'd have to find some level ground somewhere first and then measure from the ground. But from the top of the tire, because the tire sits on the ground, that's gonna be like my suspension load right there. So right now, the wheel gap or load gap, we got about 3 inches here. See a big smile there. Oh, that's a big smile there. Upside down tail wagger. I just wanted to take a couple before shots before I take it apart or change the leaf springs. That's the driver's side. So next thing I'll do is I'll take the wheels off and see if I can get the U-bolts loose. When I did the Dakota lift kit, I did the U-bolts with hand tools, just a breaker bar and ratchet and sockets, just did it all by hand. I'm not gonna add any spacers or anything. I'm just gonna add maybe 1 leaf spring, and I'll replace them with the Ford Explorer. They're a little bit thicker springs, but they should just bolt right in, and they should perk it up a little bit as well. I don't want to go too crazy, so I'm not going to add any spacers. I just want a little more load capacity and a little more stance, a little more ground clearance. Those tires are in pretty good shape, better than I thought. 275, 70, 18, LT. I'm just gonna take apart one side at a time, and I think that's the same way I did the Dakota, and I think that's the best way in general, is to leave one side, and it might not shift too crazy or anything like that. I'm just gonna try the 18 mil 1/2 inch ratchet and a pipe first. Ooh. There she goes. I did spray these with WD-40, just gave them a little, just get them wet. Maybe they'll lubricate a little bit. Ooh. So far so good. I'm just gonna loosen them up. Okay, that's good. All 4. So you can do this with hand tools, I'm pretty sure. Oh, look at that. That U-bolt just fell right out, and it's in good condition too. Coarse threads, the nuts are good. I think I can reuse that, hopefully, if it's long enough. Oh, she's coming apart already. The shock should hold it from going too far, I think. Ooh. Okay then, there's the top plate. Goes on top. The main leaf looks okay. It's not broken or anything. It's hard to tell when they're all clamped together. I'm gonna keep the nuts. Keep track of your hardware. That's perfect. There's a little bit of room here. Well, I think we're gonna need longer center pins anyway if I add a leaf. So I might just cut the nut with a chisel like I did before. I might have to actually. Nope. Well, I'm using the chisel on the old girl, just like I did before. There she is. Wonder if the 15 will still fit. There she goes. It's hard to tell, but the nut is split. I split it with the chisel. I'm gonna try to keep track of the front and rear, the fore and aft, just in case. Sometimes they're different lengths. I did that on the Explorer springs. There's a clamp here, but you can just spread it open. Okay, so there's just the main leaf in there right now, and that's fine. The shackle is okay in the back. The paint is flaking off, but it's solid. So I think I'm gonna keep that main leaf there, and I'm just gonna build add a leaf or build a baster pack. So I've did some side-by-side comparison here now that I've got the Ranger apart. This is the helper, this big, heavy, thick one on the bottom. So I don't consider that to be the lower leaf. These here are the lower leaves. And the Ranger is a little bit thinner. It's only 7 millimeters thick. And the Explorer is 8 millimeters thick. My plan was to drop the Ranger springs because they're only 7 mil thick, and put the thicker 8 mil thick ones in from the Explorer. That was my plan. So what I might end up doing is I might end up using the Explorer springs plus one of the Ranger springs as well. I'm gonna cut this rivet here and see if I can remove that. See if I can remove that clamp. I'm gonna see if I can heat up this side here and maybe cut a little bit, and maybe I can drive it out the opposite way. There she goes. That'll clean up. That's just slag. I'm not too worried about that plastic. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna use here. So I'm gonna use the Explorer leaves, and I'm gonna use this Ranger leaf as well. It fits, so I think that's gonna work out good. If I line up the center pin, that should be okay there. And I should have a little bit of cascade on the ends. I'll have one extra leaf. And I'll keep the factory Ranger helper spring as well. So my bastard pack is gonna look like that, plus the main leaf. These are the center pins here from the Fords, from the Ranger and the Explorer. They seem to be the same, but they're 7/16. So I found a couple of these. These are graded 7/16, but they're coarse thread. That's what I wanted. I wanted a coarse thread. So I compared them, and they seem to be just a little bit longer, which is what I want. I want them to be just a little bit longer, not much, just enough. So I'll have to find some nuts, and since these are just bolts, I'll have to round the head. I'll have to make the head round like a center pin should be, so that way it can locate itself into here. Nice. So I could jack the axle up, or I can clamp these together and bring it together later. But I need to get the nut on here. Okay, I've got two big friggin' clamps, and I got the nut here. There, wow. Nice. Okay, I looked up the center pin torque spec, and FordTrucks.com says 37 foot-pounds. That seems a little bit light to me, but I'll start off maybe around 38 foot-pounds and see how it feels. And I loosened this nut off again so I can put some thread locker. I've got the blue Permatex thread locker, so I'm going to put some Loctite on the threads before I torque it down, just in case. I'll set my torque wrench to 30. Oh, there's 38 right there. Wow, that's not very much. I was thinking like 50, 60. That's 38 foot-pounds right there, but it's just barely pulling the leaf springs together. I'm gonna try 50 foot-pounds. That's what I was thinking. I've got a coarse thread center bolt. That's 50 foot-pounds on the J-bar, or on the torque wrench. I'm gonna try the ratchet. I like to go by feel. That's a big 7/16 coarse thread, so that's about right. Okay, I got the top plate and the U-bolts and the nuts. And I took the center hole and I hogged it out just a little bit with the Christmas tree bit, or stepper bit, or unibit, whatever you want to call it. So I stepped it up about one size, about one notch. There is a fore and aft, so there is a forward and backwards on this plate according to this. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it like that. Maybe I'll put the jack stand under the axle and I'll just let it down so there's weight on it. Okay, there's a little bit of weight on there. Okay. Top plate, U-bolt. Oh yeah. Looky there. I might put some Loctite on these, or thread locker on these as well. I'm going to tighten them by hand in a corner sequence and equally. Well, I don't think there's going to be a huge lift. Might gain maybe an inch or two, but they should have more load capacity at the very least. I'll start at 100 foot-pounds. And it hasn't even clicked yet. There's 100 foot-pounds on all four. Okay, I think I'm just gonna leave them at 100 foot-pounds. I checked another link in the same website, and they were going by size. And I think these are 1/2 inch U-bolts, and they said 1/2 inch was 90 foot-pounds or 89 foot-pounds. I set it to 100, and I did the sequence, the cross sequence. And they recommend you double check the torque on the U-bolts after 100 kilometers or 100 miles. Pretty big wheel, so I don't know if we're high enough. I hope we are. Looks like it should be just high enough. Perfect. Wow, okay. This side was a little bit perkier to begin with, I think. Or maybe the box is drooping a little bit on the passenger side, I guess. So, I guess I'll do this side next. What do you think about the truck cap? So I'm not too sure about that. I might do a back rack. Yep, there she goes. There we go. Okay, I guess this is the moment of truth for the rear end, I guess. I got both sides done. So I'm gonna let her down and see how she sits, see how she looks. Should be perkier. Should sit up a little higher. Oh yeah, that's definitely higher for sure. Give her the settle test to make sure she's settled down. That's definitely more room there now for sure. So I call that a success. We got more ground clearance and more load capacity, more springs, thicker, stronger springs. So that should be good for hauling and any other crazy things I might consider. And the front end, I'll just crank up those torsion bars just a little bit, not too much, just a little, and that'll be a nice little lift. This is the better side. This is the good side. The other side's dented up, dents on the passenger side. And this side, the box isn't sagging, so there's a good wheel gap, there's a good lift evident. You can tell it's a little more evident on this side. And I think that's because the box is sagging on the passenger side a little bit. Yeah, there's a little bit of arc back in the springs. I'm pretty happy with everything, and the pinion angle hasn't changed much at all. Pinion angle is pretty much straight as an arrow. That's really good. It was pretty much level before I did the rear suspension. So you can tell now, park it on the level a little bit. You can tell the ass end is perked up a good 2 or 3 inches. So that's pretty good. Now I gotta check the front torsion bar keys or torsion bar adjusters. And I'm just gonna turn them up. I'm just gonna turn up the front torsion bars. And that's free and easy. Hopefully. Might spray them with WD-40 first. Ow. So, good news is it looks like it's going to be easy here, and there is lots of adjustment by the looks of it. The leaf springs look pretty good, and it seems like we got the arc back, even with the truck cap on and the wheels on the ground. A little bit of weight in the box. There's a nice little arc there. And it doesn't ride too stiff either. Still got the factory 1-inch spacer block there.